A very good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I believe uh, your entire class is here, Rose. I'm going to get started soon. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Gayatri, and I'm from uLaw's Client Success Team. I host a few webinars, and I'm so glad I'm going to be doing this for you guys today. We are recording the session, so anyone who's joining late, please don't panic. Let them know that they can always view the recording the first few minutes, and I will be sharing this link with Ms. Rose later. And there will be some useful links for resources that would also be shared along with this recording link. At any point in time, if you're having any audio issues, I request you to connect through the phone and or use the chat window here. There's a little chat window button. I can see a few of you are already using it. So if any of you are having any trouble connecting to computer audio or not having a clarity in the audio using computer, just switch to phone audio and I'm sure it'll be better. So any questions at any time, feel free to post it on the chat window and we could use that. Now, Rose, I believe you are viewer number 18. I'm not sure. I don't see your name here as it is. I have muted everyone just so that the recording can be clear and easy for everyone else viewing it later. So if you can let me know your name here or the tag here that says viewer 18 or viewer 16, whoever it is, Rose, it'll be great for me to communicate. I can just unmute you and you can talk in between on behalf of your class. Otherwise, I'm going to get started off with a little presentation. I'm not going to take too much time on presentation because I know you're all very keen to look into uLaw and learn from uLaw directly. So I want to keep the presentation to probably maximum of 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to walk you all through everything practice management, keeping in mind, of course, legal accounting as well. That includes trust accounting, general accounting for clients as well as for business or practice. So if you have any specific question, please post it on the chat window and I can walk you all through it later. So just going to unmute Rose so she can let us know if there's anything specific. Hey Rose, can you hear me? Can you talk now?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi Rose. Yes, how are you?
Hi. I'm good, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Great.
So, yeah, please let me know what is it that your class and you are expecting from me today. I do have a small presentation for everything practice management that talks about a little bit about different professional obligations into the practice management and how to go about it. A little discussion on client intake and retainer letters and financial management, like all the ledgers, journals. We're going to talk a little bit here, but I'm going to also then switch to the uLaw and showcase by creating a client, a file, and what are the specific documents and other things that we can go over with adding money into trust, general, additional parties. So if you can give me like an idea or overview of what your class is looking for apart from this, I can try to insert it in between my presentation.
I think what you just showed me is exactly what we're looking for.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, I've seen your presentation before, so yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So I'll just continue with that. Are we waiting for more, or is it okay if we can just kickstart?
Pardon me?
Are we waiting for more people to join in, or is it okay if we can just kickstart? Is that okay?
No, you can go ahead and start because I told everybody to be on for 11 o'clock. So yes, please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So to get started off with the presentation. Now, everything practice management as such is a CPD session that we host for professionals. It is something that brings a lot of meaning to your practice, tells you that these are some things that you cannot let it slip. or let it slip away. Basically, starting off with client intake to closing a file to managing the finances, ensuring compliances are intact. Of course, your personal time management, professional management, those are just additional things that add a little, reminder to yourself to be sane during this period. But as a professional, what you're looking for and what Law Society is looking for, what your client is looking for is the first 5 slides or 6 slides that we're going to discuss today. Starting off with client intake, service, and communication. Now, when you are a legal professional, let's say a paralegal, a lawyer, whoever it is who's servicing a client, brand new entrepreneur, you are not sure how to kickstart basically your practice. You want to make sure that you have everything set, like you have your logos, your letterheads, your retainer letters, your other business letters, everything set up. That's one side. That's non-financial management side of it, which is where the client intake, service, and communication plays a huge role, because that's where you literally connect with your client the very first time. You try to establish a connect with them. You are also trying to be professional, handling them in a very professional manner. So you don't want to mess up with things with the very first meeting. So you want to have everything ready. Now, what is that everything? Pretty simple. Now, you can have different channels of communication with your client. In today's world, especially post-COVID, we have seen how things are, switching to virtual, hybrid, and, you want to do things totally online. People don't even have physical offices. Everything is virtual today. Now, you have to decide a method of communication, a mode of interaction with your client, and try to set up these little client intake forms, a web service or web portal, or especially if you're using uLaw, you have a client portal that we provide you with, which will allow you to intake the client without any hassle. Now, that could be done, or you can adopt the old paper pen method too, having your client come into your office, fill in the information. But these are primary things that you will have to pay attention to when you're starting a firm, or when you're engaging yourself as a professional with a client, or with a prospective client rather. Having the conversations recorded. You might simply open a mobile app. uLaw has a mobile app, and let's say you just download the app and have your account logged in. So you kind of call a client using the app, and the app literally prompts you to say, hey, you just had a call with Acon. Would you like to have that recorded as a docket? So that is the level of information that needs information or details that needs to be recorded in your client's file. So starting off with detailed recording of calls, consultations, making sure you are you're checking the conflicts between various different names. Could be with an opponent counsel, could be with an additional party. So you have to make sure that when you are intaking a prospective client, you have to ensure the conflict check is done. And at the same time, you're also determining the collateral fee that's going to be taken into consideration. Let's say you have a retainer, or let's say you don't work on a retainer. You work only based on the general account. Sorry, I'm just going to mute. Is it okay if you mute yourself, Rose? I just thought it'll be easier. Thank you. Right. So one of the steps is to determine whether you are opening a trust account or not. If you are opening a trust account, there are certain compliances that you got to abide with. You got to make sure that, okay, I have a trust account now. How do I handle it? money coming into trust is not yours yet until you invoice and move it out of trust to be general. But at least you have various documents that you got to prepare for being compliant. So if you are getting money into trust, you got to issue a retainer letter. You have to record it as a retainer or other trust deposit and provide a receipt. Now, there are, as it is, there are so many documents in the first 5 steps that we discussed here. You will need to either build them on your own from scratch or use the forms available online, or use a program like uLaw and be carefree where you're not going to worry about downloading these forms online, trying to prepare them for you, according to the compliances and stuff. But at least if you're using uLaw, uLaw provides all of these, the retainer letters, the receipts, conflict checks, documents, and client intake forms, everything, including the non-engagement letter. So let's say someone walks into your office, asks you for some opinion, but never returns back to engage you. They are to be issued with non-engagement letter, because you don't want to be held responsible when there is a issue at their end, and they would probably turn back and say, hey, you were supposed to call me back, or you were supposed to take care of my file. Now I don't know who's my lawyer, I don't know who's my paralegal, I'm stuck. So you don't want to take the blame, you don't want to be responsible just because they didn't get back to you and there's an issue and now they point out to you. So in order to avoid such scenarios, Law Society recommends that when there's a ghost client and you have basically a prospective client who has not returned back to you, is called ghost client, and it's better to always issue a non-engagement letter. Now, these are some tips. As you are in school, you go out of it, you start your own profession. Basically, you try to be starting a new practice. You want to make sure to keep all this in mind so that you're compliant with Law Society from day one. So that's one of the important things for you to note when it comes to client intake, service, and communication. And another thing here is the retainer letter. That is the first piece of paper you exchange with your client after, of course, client intake form. But client intake form is just a simple, maybe a form that gets filled. However, retainer is a letter or retainer agreement. It's an agreement between you and your client where you're both agreeing upon certain terms and conditions, and, responsibilities, scope of matter, how you want to pay, how you want your client to pay for the retainer arrangements, whether they're paying it in installments or whether they're paying it at one shot, or whether there's an interim payment. So you're going to probably mention all of these on the retainer agreement day one when you sign up with them, right? So retainer agreement is one of the first agreements that you sign up with your client. So please make sure that you have it exhaustive. At the same time, it's not too elaborate. You make them pretty simple and the language easy so that, your clients are not lawyers, so or paralegals. Your clients are not legal professionals. They would like to understand simple terminologies and work with it. So you want to make sure that you have very simple communication. Or again, if you're using uLaw, these retainer agreements are totally easy to be downloaded from the matter directly. So if you are trying to build on your own, I would always say look into the samples available under Law Society websites, so you'll have some idea. So keep in mind, retainer agreement is something that binds you and your client till the closure of file. That's why you then have termination details entered here in the retainer agreement. So, it's all good. Now you have, let's say you have completed the client intake, you have issued a retainer letter, the client has also given you a retainer, you've provided them with a receipt. Now you are ready to open a file or a matter for this client. Now, what are the things to keep in mind while you're going to open a matter or a file? Definitely have a file checklist with you. When you have a file checklist, you have to download a client ID verification form. You have to keep the retainer letter in. You have to have the, other documents that are maybe like client ID verification, etc., that goes with this file, and conflict checks and other verification details to also be entered in here. So everything is clean and organized, and the file that you've opened has a separate file number, and it's chronologically secured. You have them with a cross-indexing number too, so you can always verify them and make sure that they're all organized electronically as well, because you never know, the paper trail can get lost. So it's always good to have electronic file backup too, and all the interactions with the client, all the details of the client, everything has been nicely organized here. And that's about file management. It's pretty simple, but you can go messy if you are not following certain things like having a checklist, having a separate file number. You have a cross-indexing method that you follow too, and all the client interactions are being docketed and simply recorded here. That's one of the things with file management. And as you obviously mature into the file, you will know what are the things that you will need to deal with. Obviously, when you're docketing, you're going to decide, whether you're going to do a billable time or a flat rate over here. And you also have docketing that is to be done alongside with your other notes, descriptions. So if you're using uLaw, you have AI tools that will help you to arrive at all of these pretty simple and easy. And you're able to promptly deliver the invoices to the client and let them know that this is pending to be paid from them. Invoice payments are to be collected. Any overpayments are to be tracked. You have systematic tracking system for that. And you're also able to record all of the money that comes into your general account, goes out of your general account. Likewise, money that comes into your trust goes out of your trust. I will be showing you this when I'm working on a file. So maintaining the books parallelly with what is happening in your bank, and you are having to, end of the month, reconcile that same books, matching with your bank statement or trying to match with your bank statement, which is called as bank reconciliations, where you will look into the bank statements, try to clear the transactions in the books that are entered. Some of them are outstanding, some of them are canceled checks. So you appropriately try to mark them and complete the reconciliation. Upon completing the reconciliation, you're free to now move on to the financial statements that your auditor would need, your accountant would need. So you yourself would need it for gauging your firm's health. So all of these are interlinked. So if you are, again, now there are several ways in which you could maintain your financials. You could have an Excel spreadsheet, you could have just an accounting software, or you could have a legal accounting software like uLaw that allows you to enter the practice management details simultaneously with the accounting information, which is interconnected, which is integrated rather with accounting system within the uLaw, inbuilt with uLaw program. So if you are in a client's file, you enter saying there's a retainer that you have received from this client. Now you're updating the client's file. At the same time, you're also updating the accounts, which is the trust account, saying there was an incoming wire, which is the retainer. right? So this is what we say when it comes to, preparing all of the financials, and at the same time also tracking them, and doing the needful to deliver invoices to the clients, collecting the payments, issuing the receipts. Everything goes hand in hand. If you're using uLaw, they're all interconnected again. And this information that you're entering at the macro level is what gets transformed into ledgers, journals, trust reconciliations, general reconciliations. They're very, very straightforward. They're definitely something that is what Law Society would like to see end of the day. These are also for your internal, for internal usage. You get to know where, when you have an income and expense statement, you get to know where you are spending more, where you're spending less, and you can try to reshuffle them, and kind of that's where the firm's health is addressed too. And we left out with business management, time management, and professional and personal management. So when it comes to business management, yes, first thing first, you're going to decide if you're using the software. Now, no one technically uses a spreadsheet to do all this math, because it's pretty hard. So this is where you try to bring in an efficient use of a legal software, and try to make sure they're cloud-based. You have secured backup. You have, with all those mobile devices that you're using, you have robust security, and you're able to remotely access. Mainly, you're able to remotely access from anywhere. And that is one of the important things that would need to be kept in mind. So, otherwise your data can be lost. It can be, maybe one day you're not able to go to office, like what happened in 2020, and you don't have your client's information otherwise. So to avoid such scenarios, people have started moving into cloud-based programs, cloud-based products, making sure that they can have access from anywhere in this world at any time, provided they have internet, right? And professional management, it's very important. How much ever your client, service communication and file management, financial management is important. This as well, professional management, to make sure your CPD hours are completed from time to time, your membership with associations are renewed, you're aware of the newest legislation and case laws, and you keep reviewing the code of conduct from time to time. So that allows you to keep your professional management on top of it. Next one here is time management. I don't have to tell you all about time management. We all have our own to-do list. We all have know how to maintain the balance, or strike the balance between your personal, professional, your clients, and other things. But keep in mind that things can get overwhelming when you are a new entrepreneur, or when you are even more, let's say, into a few months into practice, and you're trying to, maintain all your clients yourself. You don't have an assistant. So this is where you need more help, and you will have to definitely get everyone going with all your to-do list on the calendar and other, active files that you have. So it's very important to mark every file upon usage, or completing a file as closed or active or still a work in progress. That way you are able to differentiate between the available files, so that you know that these are some open matters you have and you need to focus on them. And also try to docket time for non-billable hours. These are not necessarily to be billed to the clients. Maybe they are pro bonos, maybe they are courtesy hours that you're extending. Maybe it's your own time that you're researching or doing some other work which is not billed to the client, but still you want to keep a time docket track of it so that you know your time being managed. Now, that is one of the things to practice, which will, kind of eventually bring in that perfection in your practice. That's what personal management, try and have every single thing perfect in your firm. Initially, it can be hard, but if you start it early, you have a practice management software from day one. You have, your bank accounts are set up. You have determined how to collect the fee, how to conduct the file, how to go about charging them, etc., etc., etc. Everything is there, and you have all of those recorded nicely for better financial success in your practice. And work while you work, play while you play, exactly is what the third point talks about. When you want to make sure you have spent enough time at work, it's also important to take vacation and have a work-life balance, which will allow you to manage your stress overall. So you are always active when you come back to your work. You don't feel that, a little nudge to have someone kind of remind you, hey, you know what, you're due with this month's reconciliation or something like that. So I know it's difficult trying to maintain all these areas of practice, but it's also important that you try and start them doing from day one so that, you're, one, of course, compliant with Law Society, but two, you can make more meaning to your practice. So that's definitely what I wanted to convey to all of you. Keeping in mind the practice management benefits, you're saving a lot of money here. Because you don't have to literally invest your time into it, which is also money. Your time equal to money, and you have that more efficiency in practice. And at the same time, you're more compliant with Law Society. And last but not the least, you can practice from anywhere with the practice management software like uLaw. Everything is on cloud, and you can practice anywhere, access all the files, even out of your office, but provided no one's misusing the information. So you want to control the permissions and other things. So there are a lot of things that you would come across as you progress with this particular section, which is, permission and settings. So that is what I really wanted to walk you all through the presentation. I know I kept it a little elaborate, even though I wanted to wind up in 15-20 minutes. Took a little 5 minutes more, I think. But I want to take a quick pause before I move on to uLaw platform to show you all how we could create a client, how we could create a matter or a file, how you could enter the fee rates and taxes, flat fee, billable time, additional parties, deposit in trust, withdrawal from trust, invoicing, etc. So this is what we're going to see. And of course, if there's any office expenses, I can walk you all through that as well in the next 25 minutes. But I'd like to quickly, like I said, pause for a moment to see if that is something we keep an eye on too. Rose, do you think your class would have any other questions? You want me to pause before I jump into the practical session?
No, I think you can go ahead with the showing them how the software works now, because that's really what they're interested in as well, to kind of see
Perfect.
what functionality this has.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. So yes, I'm not sure how, if you all have your own user ID login or you're using something common, but yes, if you're having your own user ID login, you enter them, you get a two-factor authentication, you're logged in. Remember, it's a cloud-based program, so you cannot download the app onto your computer, but yes, you can download the mobile app, which is like a mirror image of what you're seeing here, and you can do mostly whatever you're trying to do here, including, except for things like reconciliation and stuff. But once you are logged in, dashboard being landing page, you get to see all the recent activities that's happened in the program, any upcoming calendar events, any invoices that have been pending that hasn't been raised in a while, any modification into contacts matter, everything is being entered here. And then you go on to contacts and you get started off with adding new client. Now, there are several ways in which you can add a new client, actually 3 ways in which you can add a new client. Number 1, simply click on add new client, enter in their name and other information, click on save. You will have the client added in here. You can then do the conflict check, then open a file. That's one method. Method number 2 is document generation, client intake form. Download it, send it to the client, ask them to fill it up for you. When you have them send it back to you, you're going to first validate the fields, make sure everything is fine, save that form, and then you come back into uLaw, click on import contact, click on upload client intake form, upload the form that you have downloaded from what they sent you, and then you will see the information automatically populate. All that you're going to do is, do the conflict check after that. Now, the third way or the third method in which you can intake a client is client portal. Now, this is what I was meaning, which takes you very little time and lets your client do the work. So let's say I'm adding my email address over here. And I can show you quickly how to add the client. There's a secret key that is entered here, which is same for all the clients, which is actually created under settings when I agree to use the client portal. Now, instead of no email, I'm using try to email client and also a copy to myself. You can also use the select and copy. You can also use the QR code, share it with them and ask them to fill it and send it back to you. Now you go back into the email. I mean, your work stops there technically, and you're only trying to now help the client fill out the form. Now your client has received an email from your office. Just imagine your client clicks on the start here and starts entering the details. Okay, enters in the name, information, mandatory fields at least gets filled. If you want to make sure you need more, you can always let them know. Okay, they're informing about, red light camera ticket. How did you hear about us? Through our friends. What is the photo ID? I'm obviously giving you my driver's license, email ID. Okay. And they sign up saying I'm not a robot and submit it. So it's easy for you as well as for them, because 2-in-1, both of you save time and also appropriate information recorded under context. So they finished submitting. The moment they finish submitting, they get a screen like this. You, on the other hand, would get an email from us saying, hey, you have a new client, has completed the registration. Here's their information. Please go to uLaw app, verify the rest of the information, and start creating the matter. So you immediately go into contacts. You can just click on contacts so the page gets refreshed. And you're going to look for the client's name over here. Okay. So I purposefully took a first name that was kind of already matching with similar sounding names before. So I'm going to click on the client that just got created. This is my new client. I'm going to click on action, conflict check. First thing first, make sure there is no conflict for this client. Now, these are part of compliance documents that we spoke about when we are doing client intake, service, and communication. So conflict check is one of the primary law society compliance documents. Now, this is how it looks. It comes up with, of course, the client information on the top, followed by the potential conflicts at the bottom. Now you have the first name conflict, then you have the last name conflict with similar sounding names too. Now, you can just make sure there's no conflict for this particular client that who has registered. Then you go back and open the matter. Now, when you open the matter is where the file creation perspective comes into play. You got to remember what is the file name you want to give. You want to decide whether you want to have a new file number, whether you want to have, the rate boxes to be entered with the updated rates or specific rates for this client, or do you want to do a flat rate? So basically, before creating the file is when you determine all of these and you create the file. So now I know that this is the red light camera. So I am going to enter it as same. And I know that I'm being a paralegal, I have few other areas of practice. So I'm also specifying my area of practice over here as provincial offenses. Otherwise, there's landlord tenant board, there's small claims, there's so much. So I want to keep a track of the area of practice for each and every file I open. So that's one thing. If there's a, file number provided by the court, you can enter that here. Matter description, if you want to enter anything, you could definitely do that as well. If you want to charge a client per hour, your rate, your assistance rate is a fee cap. If you don't want to charge your client beyond this, you can enter that amount over here and make sure that there are no changes with that. Then you have the default tax rate, depending upon the province you are practicing in. Once everything is done, you're going to click on Save. You're going to see the brand new file number over here. Now, that could be confusing to you. I won't deny it's not easy to remember a random 6-digit number. I don't expect you to also. So you can always, it's a first letter of the first name, first letter of the last name. At least that much I know. So you can go and click on Quick View, search bar, just type in the first letter of the first name, first letter of the last name. Then I have a few options coming up. I can click on Donald Duck, click on Go to Matter, and I am here. Okay. Now, this is the matter page. This is where most of it happens. Now you could do retainer letters here. You could do docketing here. You could do disbursements, additional parties. You have a specific tab for each and everything. Okay, like, when you want to add dockets, you use matter events. And when you want to add disbursements, you use disbursements and retainer tab. And then when you want to add additional parties, you use add party tab. Likewise, you can also connect to your Google Drive or OneDrive and allow us to store documents easily. I will be showcasing that as well. And last but not the least, you have two separate tabs for trust in general. Now, trust is trust bank account, whatever happened in there. For this particular client, if Donald paid you some retainer, you're going to click on trust, new retainer, and enter the amount here. Before that is where you click on compliance and download a retainer letter. Say that you need a $500 retainer and send it to the client and ask them to fill it up or sign wherever needed and send you the $500, right? So once that's being sent, you have all the details here. You can make sure to sign and everything. And once that's sent, you can just simply click on trust. Retainer is a deposited trust. Remember that. They're retaining you for the services. You enter the amount, the date, amount, Method of payment, very, very important. Reference numbers. These are things that will help you to be compliant with Law Society later on, because when you're generating a receipt, you're also generating details that's on it instead of a blank form. And over here now you have information to enter, apply, and you get to download the file. Okay, so that's the retainer receipt. Yeah, it specifies very clearly who was it issued by and to whom, and the details below. Okay, once that's done, you go back. Now you can start working on the file. So I do have some couple of questions. I want to see if these are relevant. When you do a conflict search for a new client, will it show if they have appeared in a case against one of your clients? Absolutely, yes. This is only if you've added the other party to the file. Like, for example, both of them should be there under your contacts list, first thing first. Then the next thing is, if there's a file that contains the information in the additional parties, let's say if I'm adding another Donald here, okay, let's say it's an opposing counsel or something, okay, and I go and enter to Matthew here, save it, okay, and now when I try to do a conflict check for Donald Duck, and you would see that I'm screening all matters too. So it'll pull up the information for the other opponent party that was there in the previous file. So if you had something like that, when you are trying to work on this file, you will have them come up as well. So if you go at the bottom, you see that is there as a first name conflict. I hope that's clear. The other question I have here is all actions that could be done via a desktop are also available via a smartphone app, or you are limited to somewhere on an app. All the apps, in the sense, we have iOS, we support iOS, and we of course support Android. So you can use both to download the app, and once you download the app, there are certain things that you can do, like you can add a contact, you can open a file, basically allow you to, add time dockets, events, matter dockets. It's like you cannot raise an invoice, but you can do all the recordings, the descriptions and other things that you can easily do otherwise. And you can view analytics and calendar. So there is a little restricted functionality with the app, but yes, it's something that you'll have to practice to work out between using the mobile app and the browser app, which is on the system, right? I hope that's good. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So quickly moving into recording matter events. Now I've decided that I'm going to do a billable time. So the first time I met with a client, initial client meeting, it was about an hour, and I'm waiving the fee. So I'm doing a pro bono. So I click on the little drop down there and I click on autofill pro bono. Now here I could just say record. Met with the client, discussed upcoming case hearing and proceedings, and also the default party details. And this could be converted as speech to text, and then whatever you have entered, it'll get recorded here. Then you can do AI tools, convert notes to summary. This is even better because you can just simply add them as, description, because the AI tool allows you to, make this as a description. clearly says, I met with the client today and discussed their upcoming case hearing and proceedings. We also went over the details of the default party involved in the case. So you just apply this. Yes, I know it's a pro bono, but it's important to record whatever went through with the file. Then let's say you're doing a drafting. It's probably for about 2 hours, and you want to charge your client for the same time. So you click on the drop down autofill billable. Then you can still do the description, other things that I mentioned. Then you finally have a quote visit. I wanted to do a combination of billing. So this one, I'm doing a flat rate of $300 and save it. So your dockets are in. You saw one pro bono, you saw one billable, you saw one flat rate. And you can also use the description, use AI tools to add the descriptions. Now, if you want a disbursement to be added, you go into the disbursements tab. There's add new disbursement. There's a bunch of options available for you. Are you paying this disbursements from trust? Are you paying it from general? And if it's general, is it an actual or a mileage or units? What is it? Or is it general expense, like a miscellaneous expense? You know, and then there's prepaid accounts, third-party consultancies. There's a whole bunch of these options. You follow your money and you record it accordingly. So now let's say I withdraw something from trust. So straightforward. I directly used it. You use trust money to pay things that are not profit-oriented, right? Like you don't want to charge your client a different amount and say that you spent a lesser amount, things like that. So that is one thing. And over here you have the reference numbers to be entered. And over here you've spent direct withdrawal. You have the reference number. Description would be filing fee, paid to courthouse, and let's say, for example, this was a check. You can also print a check from here. Download the check, and that's how it looks. Mine is a middle check. You can print it hassle-free. You don't have to sit and write, old school method, like, you know, and you also have the other folio copies. Go back in there, the next disbursement. I am not spending anything, but I used my photocopy machine to do some photocopies. So I'm going to enter photocopies here, photocopy charges or whatever. Then let's say you're charging your client $20 plus taxes. How much did you spend for it? Nothing, because you printed using your office printer or your work printer, and you have already recorded the ink and paper under stationery while you were recording office expenses. So you're not going to duplicate that again here. So the bottom portion is left empty, which means the entire $22.60 is profit to you. Of course, you'll be remitting $2.60 to the government. So $20 is profit to you. There's nothing to worry about the banking information and stuff here, because you are not paying, you're not reporting. So there's just nothing you need to do. Come and click on save. All right. So you have added disbursement with profit, without profit, from trust, from general. You have matter events, everything good. This rate tab is what you use when you have multiple lawyers and paralegals working on a file, assistants and stuff. So you have their rates respectively entered. That is one thing. And the other one is additional parties, which I already showed you. When you have additional party for this file, just click on add party, and let's say click on, okay, attention, joint retainer, or invoice to save it. Okay. And when you're doing the invoice, you'll have both their names coming up on the invoice. So invoice is done. On the invoice tab right above, complete the invoice. I am pretty confident, so I'm just using the final invoice instead of a preview just to save a little time here. But if you are doing it at your end, I highly recommend to use a preview mode. Okay, so this is the invoice. Now there are different themes and formats of invoice. You can play around with it, and you can bring in your letterhead and stuff to personalize it. At least you have a nice little summary on the top here, right side. And file details, everything is known. Okay, and then you have dockets where you have not charged them anything, where you have used a flat rate, and where you've used a billable time. So all put together, the total plus the disbursements here and any payout of trust and retainer amount, everything is set. And what you're left out with, so then your client can also click on this link if you have a credit card facility, which is payment integration, and pay using this link. Otherwise, let's say they are simply sending you an e-transfer. First thing first, whatever you are eligible to move from trust to eGeneral, this $300, just click on transfer, move from trust to eGeneral, and then you would accept a payment into the client's general account, right? Which is directly getting into the general. So this one is an electronic fund transfer that you're doing from trust to eGeneral. And if you're in Ontarian, you will need to submit a Form 9E because you did an electronic fund transfer. Okay, now that's about it. And when you are done with this, you realize that your client owes you more money, which is what you need to click on question mark and accept as payment. So the payment that you're going to receive is $965.60. It's going to be an email transfer received from, and give him a receipt. So you're at a single time, you're covering all of these. Okay, so you have created the dockets. Retainer letter, started off with retainer letter, then entered the retainer, provided the receipt for the retainer, then created dockets, invoiced the client, transferred the money that was in trust, downloaded a Form 9E, and then you are also accepting the money into your general account from your client directly. And you have all of this done. And when you go and click on Trust tab now, you can very well see what has happened in your Trust tab, right? You know, there's a deposit in trust, there's a withdrawal from trust, right? Then you also have the general account updated with the deposits and withdrawals. Okay. And lastly, when you click on documents, whatever I just did now, I can also do it from the trust and general tab respectively, right? So you can also click on action and you can do all of those. Deposit in trust, withdrawal from trust, deposit in general, withdrawal from general. And then when you come in here, you have Documents tab. I've connected it to my Google Drive. I'm just going to click on Authorize. It's connected. I click on Open Drive. It opens up my drive with a folder automatically created by uLaw for uLawPractice. Now you have one folder for matter, which is what I'm going to use here. So I know that the matter title starts off with DD. So it's probably this one. So I'm going to enter all of those documents, upload them, drag and drop, maybe, since this morning. There are about 8 to 10 documents. I have uploaded all of them into the drive. Since my drive is synchronized with uLaw, I go back into uLaw. Within seconds, I click on refresh and all the 9 documents are over here. Now, I don't have to literally carry all the documents with me. Whenever I need, I can just open uLaw, click on it, click on the retainer receipt, and take a look at it. That's it. All right. Now, when I go back in here, the compliance tab, this is where the first initial stuff that we spoke about, file management, matter management, everything you need right from file opening, checklist. You can download that in uLaw, have them ready, and then, you can go over everything that has been done, that has not been done, and client ID obtained. You were able to get the return confirmation for retainer in the file, everything. You can just use this checkbox, and you have all of these. That is to be, there's a joint retainer, yes, because obviously I added it. So, it auto-populated with the details, information that I have already entered it here. Because I clicked on joint retainer, additional parties, it is automatically showing yes here instead of no. So some details are pre-populated, including the client's information and the brief description. So it makes your life much simpler, of course, having a practice management, especially uLaw being a Canadian-based practice management. You have all of these done here. Let's say, for example, you don't like any of these that we have. You want to make your own stuff. Just click on document generation, use the AI tools that we've recently launched. You can just choose to make your own retainer letter, replenish, change the wordings. You want to add, delete, whatever. You want to replenish letter, or you want a, non-disclosure agreement, whatever. They can be simply added, modified, downloaded, sent to your client. As simple as that. Of course, you can personalize it with your own logo. There's also a place where you can make your own templates. That's also available in uLaw. Very simple and direct. And last but not least, we also have code forms inbuilt in the program. So you can use the code forms pretty much over here. They are available for traffic tickets, POA, LGB, small claims, WSIB, family, criminal, civil, quite a few in there. I have a question here. Saving documents to Google Drive is a matter of preference. Otherwise, uLaw would have all the documents saved in the cloud and accessible. Could you also share the docs with a link to a selected person? No. One thing is that we don't save documents in uLaw. We power it through Google or OneDrive. That's what I showed you now. But they are always available for you to download. Now, let's say I want to download the retainer letter again. You can just simply click on download and can download it. So it's readily available for you to download it anytime if you've lost it, right? But storing it is going to make your life definitely simple. If you're doing it through Google and OneDrive, you can access it from anywhere, right? You cannot share a link with docs to a specific person. The link that can be shared, only thing that I can think of right now is the contacts client portal. This is the only link you can share with the client as of now. Apart from this, there's also a little bit more, which is under the accounts, everything we did. up here integrated. Reconciliations can be done, trust in general, and all of these that we added in today will show up there automatically for you to reconcile. And you can also connect to your bank to add all the transactions to the program. And you can also fetch the bank statement. Things can be pretty easily done, and using all of these Bank Connect. And lastly, you also can download all of these documents under document generation. You have reports like trial balance, balance sheet, profit and loss, income and expense statement. So let's say I want to just do a little bit of go over these ledgers. I'll keep this as the last thing and open the floor for any discussion. So ultimately, you're doing all of these, of course, for the client, for yourself, for Law Society, importantly, right? They want to see all the compliances, whether you're compliant with the documents management, etc. So let's say you want a ledger or a journal. So let's say I want to show you what happened today. So I'll download what happened today, and the client's trust ledger. You will see the 500 that came in, and then 500 that was transferred. 200 that was spent, 300 that was transferred, and all of those over here. So 500 that was received, 200 that was paid out of trust, and then the $300 that was transferred from trust to the general, right? So end of the day, 500 sums up with the 500 over here. Receipts and disbursements, and the balance in trust is knocked down to zero. This is the ledger. Same thing that was for trust. Now I'm going to download for general to show you the invoiced amount and the amount transferred and the amount paid by the client directly into the general. So this is the invoiced amount. You have 143 plus 1,100. Then you have a photocopy, which was then transferred from trust to the general 300, and the remaining amount 965.60 was paid into general account as client payment. So these are what gets recorded. End of the day, the balance in general account is also zero. There's no AR, right? So this is then further broken down into journals. Journals will have specifically the receipts alone. Then I have payment journals for both trust and general respectively, and other documents that you need for financial management. Now, apart from this, you have calendar, you have analytics, you have documents that your auditors and accountants will need, all of these under the document generation and calendar and analytics tab. But very frequently used are between contacts to matters and accounts. That's what will help you to build the file. Any questions, anyone? I think I'm almost done here. I'm actually done here, but I'd like to see if you all have questions specific. I want to, answer them in respect to opening your file, or, you have any practice questions you have, please. Rose, I could unmute you if you would like to say anything, if you'd like me to go on. Okay.
Okay, I just have one question.
Yes.
If it changes to the court forms, does it come directly down in, or do you push down some sort of change that comes from uLaw? And how fast does this get done? Because I understand it gets done fairly quickly, but does it automatically go through everybody's system and update it who has court forms, or
yes.
how that works?
Yes, it automatically gets updated.
Okay, perfect.
We have a release every quarter, so it depends on how fast, how further we are in that quarter, and we have to wait. But it gets updated within the same quarter most of the times. Okay,
perfect. And great point about keeping track of unbillable times, because that is something that on your annual report, that is something that you have to report. So it's a good thing to keep track of that unbillable and basically what you're using your unbillable for. So is it used for,
Right.
tracking current reading cases and stuff like that? That's a good thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you also can keep a track of your pro bono hours spent. So let's say, for example, today I did 1 hour of pro bono client meeting. So I go into calendar, I go into, that tiny little action button, and then I download compliance. This is also Law Society compliance. They would like to see how much of pro bono hours you've spent. So I'll put today and it'll see that 1 hour of time that I've spent as pro bono for the client meeting today. It will download with the client matter information. You see that?
Perfect. Yeah.
With the date. So this is the level of compliance that one needs to have. And I highly recommend this to, be maintained from day one, because you never know when you're going to be audited in the first 18 months, and spot audits, practice audits, your annual report filing, your monthly compliances. There's so much that goes around it. But if you have a practice in place to do all of this, irrespective of whether it's compliance or not, for your own firm's health knowledge too, it definitely helps a lot.
Perfect. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions?
I have them all muted, but please use the chat window at any time. And if there are any specific scenarios, ask me. I'm here today. Or also there's, I'm going to share some useful links and email ID. You can also email us on info@superfluidsoftware.com. That's our info address, and that way, you can all reach out to us for any questions. And let's say in future you are starting your own firm or planning to start and you need help, you can also reach out to us over here. We can give you the new entrepreneur discounts and etc. And follow us on social media, so I can also share the social media links. Or if you're all Instagram users, try going on Instagram, finding uLawPractice, and you would be able to sign up for all the updates. Especially there's so many new updates that keeps coming up as small reels and posts, so it'll be really helpful for you while you're practicing too. And that's follow us on Twitter, social media, websites like Facebook, Instagram, and also our YouTube channel is pretty helpful. So if you all have YouTube, you can go in there and you can kind of just subscribe to it, and there's a playlist for everything. So we conduct CPD webinars. They're all recorded and entered here. And then for every question, like, you have, how do I handle, my uLaw accounting for a client, or how do I handle quick view? How do I matter management, contact management? Learn uLaw at your own pace. So there's so many nice videos. Some of them are pretty small, some of them are 30-minute long. So it varies between the range of 1 minute to 1 hour, literally. So depends on which playlist you are in, right? So YouTube, Instagram, social media platforms like Facebook, everything helpful for you to be connected with us, know more details, and that would be helpful for you all to learn uLaw much better, I feel. Right?
Thank you so much for your presentation today, and I appreciate you taking your time on a Saturday to walk us through your presentation. And the video of the presentation today, will you send me a link?
Sure, I will. Just give me a day or two. By Monday maximum, I should be able to get that to you.
Okay, perfect. And then I can share it with the other students that couldn't attend.
Absolutely. I'll also share other links that you can share with them. So resources and our social media platform links too. And it'll be great if we could have some people following us to understand how everything works.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for the presentation, and I'll be in touch with you soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a lovely weekend. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.